In this video, I'm going to show you the naming structure that I use across all of my Facebook ad accounts and have done so for a couple of years. And even if you're the only person that is running an account, having a proper naming structure in place is very, very useful, not just for good housekeeping, but will save you time and help prevent you from making mistakes. But also if you want to go back and analyze, campaigns, ad sets, ads in the future, when you don't remember, you don't have that, first-hand knowledge of what you were doing, say last week, that naming structure allows you to easily understand what everything is, no matter what point you're looking at it. But also if you're using third-party tracking tools and you don't have the ability to click into the actual campaigns and ad sets or ads to see what the settings are without having to go back to Ads Manager and cross-reference it, having a naming structure is going to give you all of that information at a high level and allow you just to work in those third-party platforms, doing your optimizations and going and matching things back whatever point in time. Okay, so let's just jump into the sheets I use and I'll show you how I set up these naming structures for campaign, ad sets, ads, and also how I actually name my ads in terms of the files. Okay, so we're inside the tool I use. It's just a Google sheet, but I have a formula in it that helps me keep track of things and then push everything together. In all honesty, I don't use this too much. I'll use it at the start of a new account, and then I'll tend to just copy the stuff that's already in the platform and shift out the relevant sections. Because I've been doing it for a long time, I know where it is. I just need to start it for 10, okay? But you can have these and, be strict by the book and you use it every time. Or you can just use it the first time you set up your first campaign and then copy it across like I do, okay? So the first thing is you're going to want to know who has created the actual campaign. Is it you personally or is it your agency? Because that's going to allow you to distinguish between what someone was doing and what other people were doing, or if you're working in a client's account, allows you to distinguish between what is your agency, what is another agency, so you can properly track back things and get credit for work that you're actually doing and it is relevant to you. So I'm going to put in my initials, CC in that first section. Then you're going to have the traffic level. So this is just where is the objective of that campaign within your funnel. Now, people have different ways of labeling this. I use a numerical numbering system, which relates back to Eugene Schwartz and his levels of awareness. You could use the old TOF, top of funnel, BOF, bottom of funnel, MOF, middle of funnel. You could use cold, warm, hot traffic. You could use prospecting, retargeting, whatever. Just make sure you have a system that you use and you put it in this second section. So like I said, I use numbers, 1 to 5. That basically means I'm hitting full funnel every level. And then the next one is going to be what is the funnel or the product name. So I like to have a campaign per product. So I'm going to put in that product and I have all these drop downs. You can just type these in. Of course, you don't need to have drop downs, but I like to just keep it neat like this. So, there's my product. Let's say I was not doing an actual product. Maybe I was doing a campaign to generate leads. Well, what was the lead magnet on that? What's that funnel? The funnel is the lead magnet funnel. So maybe I put lead magnet or ebook, something like that in there, okay? But for now, it's the product. The campaign objective. This relates back to the objectives that you have in Ads Manager. So you'll see the ones here I have. These are historic. And I tend to just use the ones that I used historically, even though they've changed the naming of them within Ads Manager. So e-commerce, is always generally going to be conversion campaigns. If you want to call that sales, so it matches directly with what's in Ads Manager, no problem. Like I said, I've just been doing this a long time, so I use what I've always used to keep that consistency, despite Meta having their rebranding and things. And then the budget type, is it CBO or is it ABO? So campaign budget optimization or ad set budget optimization. Okay, again, they've rebranded these, but I'll stick with what we've got. And then an optional one is you can have the country and the descriptor. So this is for my brand. I just sell in the UK, so I don't put the country because it's not going anywhere else. If you advertise to multiple countries though, it would be valuable for you to put in the actual country, because you might have the same campaign with the same name. It's just going to a different country, right? So I'm going to put in UK there. And then we have the descriptor. This is just additional information if you need something else. Let's say it was the summer promo, for example. If I was doing like an offer, this campaign, that's a distinguishing factor there. I can know exactly what the campaign relates to, but generally that's going to be empty, and so will the country, because I am not targeting any other countries, but I'll leave it in there now. And then what is good to have is the date. So I do it the American format, month, date, and year. And when you're putting zeros into a Google Sheet as well, you need to put an apostrophe in front of it, otherwise it will delete it. So like if I just put in the 4th, this is May. So May the 1st, 2023. If I just put that in like that, it's going to remove the 0 and, mess up things. So if I put in a apostrophe and then 0, come on. Sorry, that's the one you want to use. There you go. So yeah, that puts that in neatly. And then what we have at the end is basically just a text join formula to join them all together and add these dashes. So if I just show you this, I've got text join equals, just put in equals text join exactly like that. Bracket, the inverted colons, put the dash to give the space. True basically means ignore anything that is empty, and then put the range. Okay, so that's the range there that we're going to be looking at, and mash them all together. You can just copy that formula as I've written it, or I'll leave it in the description as well, and you can just adjust it. But of course you could just type in this manually and do it once, and like I said, copy it. What was the other thing I wanted to say on that? I don't think anything. Yeah, we can just leave that. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing. The dashes, by the way, I don't remember why I do these. There was a reason back in the day. It's like a good way of doing things. And if you're ever like saving photographs in photography, they always tell you to name things like this way. It's something in the computers, they do certain things. If you don't have it like this, or they rearrange, or they squish stuff, I can't remember what it is. But yeah, it's basically just separators between each thing that you want to be separated in case it's pushed together. I think that's the reason. I don't really know, but yeah, I've always done it. You can copy that, or you can do spaces if you like. But you get used to it. It works. So that is the campaign named. I could copy that and I could paste that in Ads Manager as my campaign name. We then go into this next one, which is our ad set name. Again, we put in the traffic level because the actual individual ad sets could have be targeting different things, different levels. But again, I will just do all of them for this example, and that's generally what I will be doing, targeting full funnel with every ad set. The type of audience, so you can have an interest one where you're selecting the actual interest. You can have a lookalike audience, or you could have a custom audience, is the way we used to do it. Now I don't tend to use lookalikes or custom audiences. Well, I use custom audiences if I'm doing like DPAs and things, but yeah, most of it's going to be interest audiences. So we'll put in the interest, and I always use broad, so it's just BANT, broad audience, no targeting, that stands for. But if you do still use interest, you can put the actual name of the interest there, or let's say it was a group, you could put like horse mix to cover the whole group, just so you know what is within it, right? Or I don't know, like clothing mix or something. But we don't use interest here, we just use broad. And the country, UK, so I will put this in now. This is mandatory in the ad set as it's part of the targeting. The age, so if I want to put, let's say it was age 20 plus I selected, I'm going to put 20 up, okay? If it was our age range, maybe it's like 18 to 30, I'll put it in like that, 18 to 30, all grouped together. And that's basically the system I use for ages. So let's put it to 18 up and just select fully. The next thing will be the gender. So you can have male, female, male or female. There's the only options. Let's go for male and female. The placement is generally going to be so like default automatic placements, or you might select manual. You might select manual placements if you just select a certain few. Generally, I'm always going to be auto. The only one I would tend to use would be if I was doing maybe stories only for a particular reason. But yeah, you can see here I've got a bunch of different ones. You don't need to use these things I have. You can have your own system, but just it's good practice to put in what placement you're using if that's something that you change in your ad sets. So you can identify that when you look at something, because something might be doing really well. You think, oh, that's great. I'm going to turn off the other one and keep this running. But it's only running to a certain Instagram placement or something. That's why it's got a better CPA. It's not going to handle the spend, right? So that's that. Ad identifier, videos, images, carousel. Is it a mix or is it a dynamic creative? So let's go for a dynamic creative. So the ad descriptor, this is basically going to relate back to your actual ad. What are the creatives like, right? So let's say I was doing UGC and maybe it was a particular creator. I'd maybe put in like UGC Emma. She was the creator. I don't know, maybe there's some more information, but just something that allows you to identify what is the stuff in this ad set, what are the ads in this ad set, what am I looking at, right? So let's just put like mix or something. And then the optimization event will be purchase. You know, you've got add to cart, link clicks and leads as well. Complete registration. Purchase is generally when it's going to be if it's e-commerce, or in fact should always be unless you're doing some lead gen for your e-com. And we talk about that in different videos. Okay, so that's purchase done. The conversion window now. So 7-day click, 1-day view, 7-day click or 1-day click. Let's just go for the default 7-day click, 1-day view. The bid strategy is optional. I never use it anymore, but this was from when you might use cost caps, bid caps, or target cost. And a large reason why I have this, I really haven't used these for a long time. And even when people did use them, I didn't tend to like using them, so I didn't really use them. But whenever I took over clients' accounts, I would obviously have to rename their stuff. So if they've been using them, I would put this in to be able to identify it, right? And then put in the date again, because you're going to be launching, you'll launch the campaign at one point in time and you'll leave it running, but you'll keep launching new ad sets within it. So we're just going to put that as, let's say we're launching this one in 2 days, so it's May the 3rd, 23, right? So there you go, there's another one, exactly the same formula here, just that it's been extended from A8 to M8. So I can copy that and put that into Ads Manager. And then finally, the last section is naming our actual ads. So we've done a dynamic creative ad there. So the first thing we have to select is the actual format of the dynamic creative ad. So let's put in DCO, but let me just explain this bit. Okay, so I put the format, video or image in the actual creative file name. So when I copy that, it'll be put into this section. This is why this is green. Orange is not mandatory. So with a normal video ad, I wouldn't need to do this, but because it's a dynamic creative ad, the file's not called that. So that's like an additional thing. So if it's a dynamic creative ad, if it's a dynamic product ads, you know, your catalog ads, I'm going to be selecting them. These are historic. The other ones, I probably wouldn't use any of the other ones, but yeah, dynamic creative, we could put in here. Like I said, if we were using the DPA, you would want to put what catalog you're using. So you can identify, right, this ad set up, it's doing well, but what is the actual catalog? Because you might be using the same ad with the same creative, but different catalogs. So it's the catalog as the variable, not the actual ad. So I'll put the catalog in name if it's relevant. And likewise, if I'm doing, what type of catalog am I doing? Okay, so am I doing a single image? Am I doing a single video? Well, yeah, you wouldn't really do a single video, but yeah, single image. Would it be a carousel catalog or would it be the collection experiences, right? but they're not relevant because we're just doing a standard dynamic creative ad. So we're going to put in the creative file name. So for now, I'm going to put a placeholder of just multiple X's because I'm going to show you after how I get the file name. But we want to have the placeholder here, there, and we could just put this in the actual ads manager and cycle in the file name when we're uploading or whatever. The copy version, so let's just say I was doing copy number 2 or something, right? I have another sheet where I have all the copy listed out with references. So copy 02 would be in there. If I was doing the 322 method that we normally use, well, you have 2 different copy variants. So I'm going to put in another copy variant. So that's all I would do. Put a dash between them to keep the structure and put both your copy variants in there. And then the headline, again, we also have 2 headlines. So we could put headline 5, maybe headline 11. Again, relating back to whatever headline you've used, and you'll have a sheet where you have every headline besides some sort of identifiable code, right? And then the CTA variation, is it learn, shop now, sign up, apply, order, whatever? You just come and put one of them with CTA. So CTA shop is generally what you're going to be using for e-commerce. The landing page variation, so I have another sheet as well where I'll put all the different landing pages with an identifier. So this one, we're just going to put LP, landing page, and then whatever number it is, let's just put LP1. And the avatar that we are actually targeting, okay? So we're going to put, let's put corporate. One thing we'd say, this could probably be optional. Is this the ad? No, it's the ad. Yeah, no, sorry, these are not optional. I thought this was the ad set. Yeah, these we want to put in the avatar. So corporate, these are just my different avatars in a drop down. Corporate professional, that stands for. So we're putting that one in there. The pillar, so what is the actual messaging angle that you're hitting up for your brand, right? So you will map these out for your brand. You know, you want to separate these because it's good to know when you're taking stuff, what is the actual ad talking about? What's the angle? If something's doing well, you can identify that and go, hang on, this angle's doing really well at this moment, or it was doing really well in the past, whatever, and you can do more things with that, right? So I've got a big list again pulling through. Let's just go for mood as an easy one. The ad variables, so these are the optional things that you can select at the ad level. The multi-advertiser ads, MMA. The optimize creative per person, so I put OPP, optimize per person. Or if you were doing both, MMA-OPP. But if you hadn't selected any of them, you can just leave that blank. And you're going to put in the page post ID. If it is that you're using existing post in the naming, you would put in the actual numerical value there. But because this is the original ad that we're creating, I'm just going to put X because there is no post ID, or it's the original one. So the post ID we want to know that it's an original ad. It's not a duplicate. Okay, so that's how I identify if something's an original ad or it's an existing post. X for original ad. There'll be the string of numbers there if it is the actual existing post. Okay, so that is the naming structure for your campaign, ad set, and ad. You basically just repeat that process, right? How do I get the actual file name of the creative? So there's a reason why I specifically do this as well. You can come into here, and I have this creative matrix where I store my creatives, right? But the reason why I name the actual file, so what I mean by that is when I've downloaded images or videos, I'll go in and change the name to a specific name, because when you upload that into Ads Manager, and let's say you have some sort of creative you found to be performing, and at a later date you want to take that creative and pair it with new copy by building a new ad. If you haven't given that a specific name, often what you'll find when you're working in big accounts is it's really, really hard to find that creative. And yeah, some of you might be running your own brands. You have all the creatives. It's no problem for you. It's easy. But when you're working with clients, that is a nightmare. Or you're working with creative teams that supply the creatives. you don't want to go back and sift through your creative hubs if they're already in, or creative databases if they're already in Ads Manager. You want to be able to just quickly pull them from the name you're reviewing and get the exact creative, not something that might be an iteration of it, the exact creative. So that's why I name the actual file, and then you're able to search that within Ads Manager when it is uploaded, when you go to the add creative section, right? So here is what we have here. You can ignore everything up to here, and we're going to start at creative type. So is it an image? Is it a video? There's not really any other creatives you can have. Oh yeah, you could have a GIF. Carousel, that's when I would have like the old school carousels where, you know, each one might be a connected image. I didn't really use these anymore though, so carousel never used. But yeah, image, video, or GIF. Image, let's just say for this one, in fact, we said it was UGC, so let's go for video. The crop would be square, landscape, or portrait. Let's go for portrait. The product, again, I have the same list, so I'm going to put in the same one we did. Creative name, we said it was UGC Emma. So I wouldn't put mix here because obviously we know exactly what one it is. So UGC Emma. Maybe I would give a description, so like bedroom, for example, if she was filming it in the bedroom. Something to just help me identify it. There's no rules here. You guys can do anything. It's just your creative has a name. It's very, very helpful. You can just put in like VO1 or something there if you want. I like to have a name because I'm a visual person, so I want to see what that is by name. And then here, if like, let's say if she did like 3 different types of the same video, 3 versions, I put in VO1 here, I put in VO2 there, VO3, so on and so forth. If you didn't have any different versions, you can just put nothing. And then the hook relates to what hook I'm hitting up. So that's an additional thing. You don't need to have hooks. I have it as part of my process, so we could put like hook 4. But again, I have a sheet where I have all the different hooks that I use listed out or that I'm testing. But that's not a lesson for today. So hook, and then that is basically it. These ones here are optional, and it's just for my creative matrix to be able to understand what I'm talking about. So if I double click on this formula, you can see all I'm pulling is these 6 here. And you can see even if we don't have anything there, the formula nicely just ignores that and keeps it very neat. Okay, so I would simply take that, you know, if I want to do it here, I'd put it into this instead. And there you have a full ad named that I could go look at any time and be able to easily understand exactly what I was doing, exactly what creatives it was. I can set up different rules to do different things. I can filter. It gives you so many different possibilities by having a naming structure. So even if you don't have one as extensive as mine, definitely, guys, get some sort of naming structure mapped out where you have it set up in columns like this, and you know, okay, this thing goes in this place all the time. I name things this way consistently so that you can put filters into the account and filter out different things. You're not reinventing the wheel every time you create something, right? So that's the naming structure. A bit of a boring video, but very useful. So guys, I hope you find it valuable. And yeah, we'll be back with another video very, very soon.